Hi, it's Dawn from Pretty Shabby UK. Welcome to this tutorial for the slide and reveal card. This card not only looks super impressive, it's a lot of fun to receive, but it's really simple to make and doesn't require any fancy papers or dies. You'll need some stamps. I'm going to be using these beautiful stamps that came free with Creative Stamping magazine, issue number 70. I'll be using the penny farthing, the dapper chap, the pocket watch, the gears, some sentiments, the you're not old, you're vintage, the happy birthday, and for the topper I'll be using the three wise gentlemen. I believe these stamps are the ladies and gentlemen stamp set that was designed by crafty individuals for the Creative Stamping magazine. I'm going to use two pieces of craft cardstock which are cut to 5 3/4 by 5 3/4 and 5 inches by 5 inches. I'll give this a slightly distressed look by blending Tim Holtz's Distressed Oxide. The colour is Vintage Photo. I'm going to blend round the edges using a blending brush rather than a blending sponge, as the brush gives more of a subtle blend. And if you start blending off the project and then blend onto the project, it kind of avoids the harsh lines that you can pick up when you're blending. So I think the ink's just going to give them a lovely vintage feel, which will really work well with the vintage style stamps that I'll be using. So the cream card I cut to 5.5 by 5.5. We're going to start working on the small 5 by 5 card. If, like me, you've blended the edges, what you'll need to do is turn the card over. We'll work on the back of the card. So using a pencil and a ruler, if you mark a border of 3/4 of an inch all around the edges. Don't worry, you'll not see this when the card's put together, because we're going to be adhering it to another piece of card, turning it over and adhering it to another piece of card. So I mean, you can rub it out if you so desire afterwards. Next we get to the fun part, the stamping. Do you know what? I've just got into stamping big time lately. I think since I've upgraded my craft supplies, it makes it a heck of a lot easier. You don't need the most expensive things, but certain things do make it a lot easier. I mean, I was using cheap inks, but this stays on. Really does make all the difference. So taking your stamps, what you're going to do is, there's no rhyme or reason why you can stamp them. On the larger one, just stick to the outsides, because you're just going to see like, what, 1/4 of an inch all the way around. So there's no need to cover the inside. And on the top piece, you will see more. So just spread your pieces out, and there's no harm in going off the page. It just adds to that little je ne sais quoi. Go, hark at me speaking French. Don't know where that came from. Any word. Do you see what I mean? Around the bottom sheet, you're not going to see a lot of it. So if you just stamp around the border, that's quite adequate. Pop the top on. Yeah, do you know what? I think that looks okay. Yeah, we'll work with that. Okay, now we're going to do the scoring to make the flap mechanism. So you want to score on the uncut edge. Just score down that pencil line. Then we're going to score at 2 3/8 and 4 inches. You just want to make sure that you only score inside the lines. And then next turn over the card and then fold as a valley, then the mountain fold, then a valley fold. Moving on to the tag, the cardstock measures, the craft cardstock measures 4 by 4.5 inches. The cream cardstock measures 3 3/4 inches by 4 1/4 inches. I'm just rounding off the tops because I think as a tag it looks a lot better. I'm still using the double-sided sticky tape only because I haven't found a glue yet. So if you know of any glues that are really good, just will you pop it in the comments below. I'm going to burnish it because I believe it sticks to the paper better. Well, in my head it sticks to the paper better. I'm just going to punch a little hole in and then wrap some jute in, make a little knot with some jute. It just makes it easier and it finishes the tag off, but it just makes it easier pulling it in and out. I got this jute from, once again, I think it was a pound shop, Poundland, Pound World, Bargain Land, something like that. But I got it from the gardening section, so it's actually garden jute, but I love it for me crafting because I was struggling finding baker's twine. That's why I started using this. However, now in all the shops that I go into, there's like an abundance of baker's twine, so I have stocked up on that. Some future projects will probably be using the baker's twine. Just give it a trim to the required length. Now you're going to make the wrap, which enables your tag to smoothly pull in and out. So just this, all I did for the wrap was I cut an A4 sheet and I just took 1/2 inch off. It's only copy paper, it's only lightweight paper. So just wrap it around. I'm just going to stick some double-sided sticky tape. Now you want to make sure that it's not too tight, otherwise it won't go in and out smoothly. So just wrap it like you would a belly band. Just stick them edges together and then you can just trim off the excess. See, smoothly does it. Just trim off the excess. We're going to adhere the tag wrap to the top of the card. So turn the top bit over. I'm going to put some double-sided sticky tape on the bottom of the flap, you know, where we did the valley fold. I mean, if you've got glue, use glue, but this works just as well. I'm going to just trim it off. It's important to make sure that there is no excess stick anywhere else, because all you want to do is make sure that that bottom bit sticks to your tag, because you don't want it sticking to the bottom piece of paper. I think I could have used smaller scissors, to be honest. So I'll take the tag out. I'm just going to pop some double-sided tape on the back. I'm going to stick this on the underside of the top piece of cardstock, and you want to get it as centrally as you can. It will stick out past the two lines, but the more central you get it, the better, because your tag's going to stick out bigger than your flat, but that's going to become like a ledge, so the flap doesn't lift out of the mechanism once we put it together. So if you've got any excess, just trim that off. I've got a tiny little bit, but I may as well trim it. Okay, this is 1 inch circle punch. I'm gonna pop it as centrally as I can get it, and just take a little bit off the top. It's just gonna make like a thumb hole. So once your tag fits in, your baker's twine or jute should just sit in that hole without making it bulky. Perfect, yeah. And it still slides. So what you want to do now is stick the bottom of your tag to the bottom of the flap, again ensuring it's central, so you've got like a little bit over each side of the line. So if you do your adhesive round the two sides and the bottom, but don't put adhesive on the top bit where the tag goes in and out, just be mindful and try and leave a little gap so your tag's got a bit of wiggle room as well. Then you're going to pop that top piece and your cream cardstock, just mat and layer it up. So you've got your base, then your cream cardstock, then your top. So I'm going to use the Dapper Chap, You're Not All Your Vintage, the swirls, and the Happy Birthday. I changed my mind on the Happy Birthday and decided to go with the Man of the Moment. This one came free with Papercraft Essentials 159. So I'm going to use my stamping platform just in case it doesn't stamp well whilst we've built the card up. So lift the tab up and then figure out where you want your stamps to sit. Put the Dapper Chap there, the swirl in the corner, and that. Okay, in order to use the stamping platform, I'm going to have to lift the flap as far up as possible, and then it'll just fold backwards. So I'm going to use my Stays On jet black ink again. That's the thing about the stamping platform that I like. If you've made an error and you've not actually stamped over correctly, it just lets you easily restamp without worrying about is it correct on the paper. Okay, and so now we're going to have to turn the card upside down because we're going to do the top of the tag. So I've put in place where I want it open to, and then it's a matter of just working upside down. So I'm going to put the happy birthday on this. I think I might add a swirl actually. Yeah, I think that just finishes it off. So I'll just line it up, make sure it's, yeah. So pull the tag down and then lower the flap once again. I just love these stamps, they're so cute. I'm really into the steampunk at the moment, the steampunk and the vintage look. I love all of the Tim Holt stuff as well. That's who I got my tip off, to be honest. I was watching one of his videos and he was saying about the blending off the page and then blending back on. Ooh, missed a little bit. And there you go. See, the card wasn't that hard to make. As long as you've got your lines and your score marks correct, it just kind of makes itself really. So all that's left to do now is to just do the topper. It's going to be the Three Wise Gentleman stamp, and I'm going to be colouring them in with my Deco Time aqua markers. These are the first markers that I got when I got into stamping and colouring. They are actually quite good. I'm going to be using GG3, which is like grey green, 115 pale rose and 136 blush. Now, because I'm trying to simulate the olden photos that were mainly black with a pop of colour, these work perfect because they don't give that vibrant colours that the alcohol markers do. So I'm just colouring his pants in now with the greeny grey colour. I'm picking out bits of like where his tie is, and I think the other one's got a jumper on. So I'm just lightly going over them. So I'm going to use the 115 pale rose just to colour the faces and the hands. Just gives that like hint of a tint pink that the old photos used to have. And I'm going to use the 136 blush just to give them like blusher on the cheeks. I remember seeing my my old grandparents' photos, and they were just like black and white, and it looked like somebody had just coloured in a little blusher on the cheeks. So that's what I was after simulating on this. So you'll notice on this one that I have distressed around the edges. I used the vintage photo again by Tim Holtz and matte and layered the card. So you can either draw a pencil mark so you know where to put your tape, or just do it by eye. I did it by eye originally, and then I found it easier if you lay it flat onto the card, then you can judge if it's central to your mechanism and then just pop it up. Give it a squidge. But yeah, there you go, card's complete. I think it's just really, really nice, fun to make and fun to give card. I think anyone will be made up with it. I did one in the green. I couldn't decide which one I liked best, but I think it's going to be the brown. With the green I used white cardstock and shabby shutters distress ink, just to give it that grungy feeling. But with this, what you can do is you can either leave it and just put your sentiment on the back, or it will fit on a 6x6 card blank, so you can just stick it on there and then put your sentiment inside, and it still works perfectly. So it's up to you really which way you want to give the card. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please could you give me a thumbs up? It'll really help my channel. And don't forget, hit that subscribe button for more card making tutorials. Thanks. Bye.